All right, so this is going to be one of the most important videos that you watch today because as a beginner, one of the most difficult questions you need to ask yourself is what niche should you do and which strategy should you follow? And if you just so happen to choose the wrong strategy, it really could lead to you ending up not making any money and just having this entire business as a money pit. Obviously, we don't want that. So I designed this video and designed all the information here today to show you guys the distinguishment between a trending versus an evergreen channel. And in my personal opinion, which may be a little bit crazy for many people, why you should never, ever, ever do a trending based channel, especially as a beginner. Once you are on the more advanced level, you understand the algorithm, psychology, clickbait, then you can definitely start tackling the more challenging niches like trending, politics. But I'm going to break it all down and help you understand very clearly why you should never do a trending channel. So let's get into it. So starting off with the fundamentals, just understanding what is the actual difference between an evergreen channel versus a trending channel. All right. So this is one of the most important topics or concepts to understand because it'll actually determine how your journey goes. All right. So evergreen content, this is short for evergreen content, meaning content that literally never dies. It has no time span and it's interesting today, 10 years ago, and going to be interesting for the next 10, 20 years. That's the kind of content as a beginner you need to be focusing on because it's going to create the least amount of friction and resistance in your journey. So for example, you could do an animals channel. An animals channel, people are interested in learning about orca whales and lions, today, 10 years ago, and for the next 10 years. So there's really no urgency. And we'll talk about the key points. A trending channel is content that has a lifespan. When you're focusing on content that has a lifespan, you're kind of facing a whole other challenge, which is getting the timing of the topic correctly, getting the video correctly, and also dealing with the fact that eventually it's going to die, if it even ever gets traction, which is another key to be made, all right? So let me guys show you some examples of what I mean by trending channels. And I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of everything. So please make sure to watch until the end, because if you don't understand this concept, you could find yourself listening to the wrong person online who pushes you into a trending channel, which may sound great because they make it sound very sexy, because it is sexy, but you need to know what you're up against. All right. Here's one example. And this is kind of like in the car space, the economics and car space, but it is very trending based. Ford, Chevy, like all these different car companies, Tesla, and talking about all the trending news that's happening. So let's talk about the stats here. All right. They have 100,000 subscribers, which is fantastic. They have 1.6K videos. Now, they're doing 7.8 million views per month. That is phenomenal. Of course, to the naked eye, this sounds like an incredible idea because of the amount of traffic that they're getting, the views. Obviously, they're making a lot of money. We can even go here to analytics and we can see exactly how much they're making. And by the way, I know for a fact that this niche or this analytics tool is wrong, and I'm going to prove to you why. But they're making around $5 per 1,000 views, and they're doing around $40,000 a month. That's what they say. I know for a fact that they're going to be doing a lot more than that because of the fact that they're doing longer form videos. These are between 30 to 40 minute videos, every single one, which is also something you have to do in this niche. The other reason they're doing it is because the fact that they're longer is going to allow you to place more ads in between the video, which allows you to make more money, right? The more ads that are seen, the more ad revenue you receive as the creator. So if you had like an 8 to 10 minute video, very likely you'd be making $5 per 1,000 views. But because it's 30 to 40 minute videos, you're going to receive between $8 to $10 per 1,000 views. That's amazing. But of course, there's caveats to that, right? So now let's just say that they're doing 7.8 million views, call it 8 million views. You take 8 million, you divide it by 1,000. That's going to be the whole calculation because you get paid for every 1,000 views. So 8 million divided by 1,000 is 8,000. Now let's just say on the upper end, which is still kind of conservative, they're making $10 for every 1,000 views. So 8 million divided by 1,000 is 8,000 times 10 is $80,000 a month. $80,000, all right? That's this one channel. Let's take a look at another channel. And you're going to see a very similar trend, all right? So for this one, for example, it's called America Unfiltered. They're doing 21 million views, and that's actually 38% down. So I think they were like 35 million last month. So let's just say now at 21 million, same thing again, longer form videos, 20 to 30 to 40 minutes. So still for sure around that $10 per 1,000 view mark. So 21 million divided by 1,000 is 21,000. 21,000 times 10 is $210,000 a month. I'm very confident this channel is making anywhere between $200,000 to $300,000. I think last month they did over $300,000 in one single month. Beautiful. All right. Let's check out the last channel. I know this sounds really like contrary because I'm showing you channels that are making a ridiculous amount of money, but I'm going to prove to you guys why you need to stay away from this niche. Again, especially as a beginner, just as a beginner, right? This one's called FameForge, and they're doing 5 million views a month. So 5 million divided by 1,000 is 5,000 times 10 is around 50,000. Great. But let's talk about the caveat. By the way, that's 65% down. Last month, they did over 10 million. So around $100,000 they generated last month. Now, what could possibly be wrong with this? Let's talk about this. I'm going to keep going down. Let's talk about the pros and cons of each one. I'm going to really explain to you guys why this is not a good idea. And it sounds crazy, but just stick with me here. So let's talk about the pros of evergreen content. This content style is going to be the easiest and most leisure way to approach YouTube automation because there's really no urgency for you to create the content and for you to choose the topics correctly, right? And if you do, they can last forever. When I say urgency and leisure, right? If you were going to create a documentary of a whale, for example, there's no rush, right? That topic is interesting today, and for the next 10 years, you could spend a whole week, you could spend a whole month creating that content, and it's not going to like depict whether you're going to make money on that video. Because, for example, if it was something to do with the Trump election or something is happening in the political space, it's only interesting today for the next week maybe, and then after that, it's irrelevant because more news has come up. So that topic is no longer going to be relevant. So there's a specific time span you have to turn around your videos and post them. Now, the cons of evergreen is since there's no urgency, there's no actual way of knowing when the video will get traction. It could be 1 week, it could be 1 to 3 months. I've had some videos after 12 months take off and go parabolic. You can't really control when and if they go viral at all. So you kind of have to be a lot more patient and just be more understanding with this niche. That's the only con. Truthfully, that's the only cons. Now, let's talk about the pros of the trending, all right? The pros are if you are able to, let's emphasize, if you are able to catch a trend and execute it correctly, it can yield extremely lucrative results. As I just showed you, $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month, $300,000 a month, which is ridiculous, right? It's a lot of money. But there's always, there's always something happening. There's always drama, there's always news, there's always something happening in the news, and people want to know. So it's possible to always have content ideas consistently, and the niche itself will never die out. All right, that's kind of a huge thing. This is like, it's going to last forever. It's always going to be something interesting. People are always wanting to know what's happening. But let's talk about the cons. And there's a long list here, a very long list. There's way too many. Let's start with the first one. It's extremely competitive and saturated. I'm going to tell you what's happening in the shift of YouTube. Obviously, YouTube automation is becoming very prominent, very popular as well. There's a lot of people catching on. But there's a specific group of people that are catching on to this, and they're specifically focusing on this style of content, trending content, because the reward versus the input is exponential. They know that they can just inject a bunch of cash into this business model and get a 5 to 10 to 50x return on investment very quickly. Within 1 to 3 months, they can 50x their investment. So of course, that's very lucrative, but you need to have a lot of cash to put up. So who's doing these channels? Some, obviously a lot of regular people, but venture capital, hedge funds, investment corps, they're seeing this as a very lucrative opportunity to jump in and capitalize on trending, right? So they're coming in with big budgets. These are multi-million-dollar hedge funds that are coming in. They're okay spending $10,000, $20,000 a month right off the bat, right? So keep that in mind. That's the next thing. The whales are capitalizing extremely hard. Extremely hard. All right? They're coming in with big budgets. They don't mind wasting money, spending money, doing multiple channels at once. You are going to compete against these people, and it's going to be very difficult. You need to post 3 times a day or up to 5 to 10 to compete. I'd say more conservatively 5. And we'll talk about this, all right? So let's go back to these channels. Look at this stat right here. Videos published this month, all right? 110 videos in a single month. Let's look at this one. 127 videos in 1 month. And I actually close this tab. Let me go back to it so you can see Garage Heads. This one is actually very similar as well. And you'll see a trend here, right? So this one is 146 videos a month. Divide by 30, that's 5 videos a month on average that these channels are posting. 5 videos every single day. All right? Now, you also cannot compromise one important thing, which is quality. You still need to post decent quality content, which means you can't just cheap out on the team. You can't cheap out on this content. These are not $10, $20 videos. these are still very expensive. And we'll talk about the price breakdown as well. Also, they can't be short. You can't post 5-minute videos. You can't post 8-minute videos. You can't post 12-minute videos. They have to be 15 to 30 minutes, even up to 40, 50 minutes every single video. Imagine trying to post 5 videos a day, 30 minutes long. Not only is that very difficult, it's also very costly, right? Last thing here, not last thing, but another very important thing is the timeline, right? Because the content is very like, you need to be on it. You need to be very proactive. You need to be very switched on with your team and finding the content from initiation of the topic to the execution and posting needs to be very quickly. I say around a 24-hour turnaround for the entire video. Imagine you have the idea in your head and the next day is an entire video. The script has been written, the voiceover is done, the video has been created, and the thumbnail as well within 24 hours. That is a machine that you need to have to create that kind of turnaround so you can actually get the stuff out quickly. Meaning you'll likely need multiple teams. You can't just go out and find one team. You have to have multiple teams creating this content, which is a big operation, right? Then the issue is that this turns this whole business, and I always say this is a passive income stream. It's passive income. Everyone says passive income. It is passive income if you do it correctly. Now it's no longer passive. It's an active income stream, right? It's no longer this passive, beautiful thing you can just set up and let it run, which it can be done like that. It's now an active income stream, right? Although a very lucrative one, it's still an active one. Last thing is if you stop posting, all of your videos will lose relevancy and they will die. That's the other thing. They will all die because as soon as those trends are over, there's no longer a need for the video to get watched because it's not relevant anymore. So think about it this way. Say you post 100 videos. You spend all that money. Yes, hopefully you'd made some money in the meantime, but it's not guaranteed. All right? You post 100 videos, you spend all that money. Those videos all lose relevancy because there's new news that's come out and the old news is not interesting. You spent 100 videos worth of content. All of them die, and then you're left with nothing. The channel will go to zero every single time. There's not a chance for that content to continue getting views over time or get picked up at a later time. It won't happen. Your channel will come to a complete death every single time, 110% of the time. So, hope you guys are catching what I'm trying to put down. It's a very important topic, very, very, very important topic because there's too many guys in the space that are telling everyone, go into trending, do celebrity, do this stuff. Yeah, of course it's fantastic for them because they have a lot of budget and they've been doing this for a long time. And of course it's lucrative. I showed you. There's not many things that can make you 50 grand a month, 100 grand a month, 300 grand a month. There's not that many things that are like this, but you don't have the operation. So let's do calculations. Let's just break it down financially. All right. So one video is going to cost you between $80 to $120 for the full thing to get created. If you want a high quality video that's over 15 minutes and can be done in 24 hours, you're paying minimum $80 to $120. If you're lucky, by the way, that's if you find a really good team. So I'm just saying conservatively. So let's say we did one video a day for 30 days. That's going to cost you between $2,400 to $3,600 every single month. That's not bad. But again, one video is not enough. None of these guys are posting one video a day. They're all posting between 3 to 5 a day and sometimes even more. So do you have $3,600 a month to spend right away without knowing if it's going to have any tangible result? Most people know, honestly. But we don't want to do one video a day. We want to keep up with the Joneses, right? We want to keep up with these big channels because they're doing 5 a day. And if you're not doing 5 a day, your content's going to get drowned by them, right? So now you're looking at $400 to $600 a day. But you're not posting one day, you're posting for 30 days. So now times 30 days is $12,000 to $18,000 a month to do this correctly. If you genuinely want to do this and you want to have a fighting chance, you got to post 3 to 5 videos a day. You're looking at $12,000 to $18,000 a month. Already, this should eliminate the idea of doing a trending channel as a beginner. I've been doing this for 5 years. I've spoken to so many people. I have so many friends and just people that have come to me and said, hey, how do I fix my channel, this and that? And they're doing trending. And I literally have one person that I've been trying to work with and help him with this trending channel. And he's been doing this for over a year. He's never even cracked 1 million views. And he's done this thing correctly, even like 3-5 videos a day. And he can't even crack it. And it's not bad content. It's just it's super competitive, super saturated. And he's dumped a lot of money into this and he hasn't gotten that return back at all. And I have students that within 1-2 months, they're breaking even and we're doing evergreen content. So you need to know how to pick your battles. And the worst thing you can do is follow the wrong information. That's the whole issue. It's happening on the internet is a lot of disinformation that's going out. And it's literally misleading people and causing you to just turn this thing into a money pit instead of being a very cash flowing, lucrative, passive business that it is, right? Let's go further a little bit more. If you were to execute, here's what you would need. I'll break it down. If, let's just say you were going to do this, I would highly suggest you start with a pre-monetized channel. If you guys need one of these, just join my school community, send me a message, I can hook you up. You need a pre-monetized channel because you want to at least turn a profit as quick as possible. The second thing, you need to work under an MCN. So many of you don't know what MCN is. This is another word for a multi-channel network. Imagine this, and this might fly over somebody's head, but for most people, you'll understand. If you go and register a business, you would have something like an LLC, a limited liability company, which is almost like, okay, I'm a sole proprietor. I'm just a person. And if I ran a business and I messed something up and I screwed someone over, someone could come sue me and take all my assets. They could sue me for my personal assets. They would take my house, my car, and they could tap into my bank account and sue me. But if I operated under an LLC, then the company is liable. So somebody can go sue me, but they would not sue me or touch me. They would touch the company and they would go after the company's assets, the bank account, all that stuff, and they could sue the company. That's where you want to be. When you're running a business, you don't want to be liable for anything. That's why you operate under an LLC, and it separates you. It's like a different entity that operates the business. An MCN is very similar to an LLC. So say me, I go and operate under an MCN. That's great. That's fantastic because now they take the liability. I don't actually have my AdSense account attached. It's not my personal name. I'm operating under that multi-channel network. So now we use their AdSense account and their entity to operate the channel. But it's not that great either, right? Because number one, you have to find the right MCN. And the right MCN is very difficult to find. Even me, after 5 years, I've yet to find the right MCN. I've never touched it before because I've heard so many horror stories where they could take that money because it goes through them first and they're supposed to pay you what you're deserving, right? And usually around like 15 to 30% they take. That's if they're kind. And that's if they decide not to screw you over. Because I've heard many horror stories where they owe you their 15 to 30%, but then they end up paying you nothing. Or they give you 5% of it. If you operate under an MCN and you happen to make 100K a month, that goes to them first and they can just choose not to pay you, which has happened in a lot of cases. They'll hold your money and they won't give it to you. And good luck trying to chase after them because they have a lot of money and you likely don't. And trying to sort out a lawsuit to get your money back, you're not going to be able to afford it. It's going to take so long. It's going to get carried over. You're going to run out of money trying to fight with lawyers. It doesn't work. Like it's actually a horrible situation to be in. And it happens to a lot of people, innocent people who have just worked under an MCN. They made a lot of money. They never got paid. So yes, in essence, it's great to have an LLC and an MCN, but the reality is very, very different. So you'd have to work under an MCN because it'll also protect you in case of copyright or something. Say, with these political channels, like these with the Trump and stuff, these are super, super lucrative, like 5 million views. This one with 20 million views. This niche right here is probably the best niche to get into, the political channel. But politics is a very sketchy niche to get into because there's no such thing as free speech anymore. We can't just talk about things we want to do. We can't just talk politics. YouTube is very, very very, very intentional and very they really, really just make sure that whatever information is going out there, they control that information. And so if you happen to cross a line, which you won't know until it's too late, they shut down your channel, they shut down your AdSense, and they can ban you completely from ever having a YouTube video again, a channel. I know this has happened to some people where they get their channel shut down, their AdSense taken away, and they revoke the access to ever create another channel again. Like you will go ahead, try and open a new Gmail, open a new YouTube account, and they will know that they shut you down and they'll never let you start another YouTube channel again. I know people that they literally can never open a YouTube channel again because they started a politics channel, made a bunch of money, spread some false news, and now they're done. They can never do YouTube again. But operating under an MCN allows you to disassociate yourself from you and operate under the MCN. So God forbid something happened to that channel, it would be fine. Your AdSense is safe. You're safe. You can go build another channel again. But again, you have all the risks of working under an MCN. Hopefully this makes sense, and I hope I didn't make it too advanced, but trying to simplify it as much as possible. You also will need a large disposable budget to burn through. You can't just come at this with $200, $500 a month. It's just not going to work. Some people get lucky, but you can't base a business off of luck. If you're guessing, you're gambling, and we don't want to gamble in this business. You don't want to gamble your hard-earned money away, okay? Also, you would need extensive experience with YouTube to understand packaging and retention. It's not just the fact that you post a video. There's a lot of psychology at play. Proper thumbnails, great titles, great hooks, rehooks, pattern interrupts, outros, cliffhangers. These people actually understand what they're doing. They're not just simply posting videos. They've really gone above and beyond. So like that takes experience, or hiring a very experienced team, which costs a lot of money. You also would need multiple experienced and dialed in teams to push content, again, within 24 hours. That's the other key. You can't just post a video. You can't tell your team you want a video and get it back a week later, because that's done. You've completely wasted all of your money on that video. You'll never make a return. It'll never see the light of day, essentially. So these are the main keys I wanted to take away. And I'll show you guys some examples of why you should focus on evergreen channels, right? Let's take this channel, for example. All right. So animal channel. Now look at this. All right. 3 years ago, 12 million views, 8 million views in 2 years, 7.7 million views in 2 years, 4.3 million views in 1 year. Okay. But let's look at something else. Let's look at the views per hour. For something that was posted 3 years ago, it's still to this day getting 456 views per hour, 456 views per hour, 439 views per hour, 491 views per hour. That is literally thousands of views per hour for content that was posted years ago. That's what you want, right? You want to build you want to have a setup where you do something once and continue to get compensated for it month after month, year after year. Another one is a gaming channel here. You can see from 6 years ago, 60 views per hour, 50 views per hour, 37 views per hour, 84 views per hour, 3 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, like 30 views per hour, 50 views per hour. It's not a crazy amount, but over time, and you have a large catalog of videos, this adds up to thousands of views per hour. They're all getting views per hour from 5, 6, 7, 8, 6 years ago, 5 years ago. Every single one is still getting views per hour, years and years and years down the line. That is the power of evergreen content. That's what you want. That's what you need if you're going to do this thing, all right? At least for the first video, or for first channel, first, maybe second channel. Then when you have some capital, then when you have a better understanding how YouTube works, you can then challenge yourself to go into the more difficult niches like trending, right? Same thing here, 170 views per hour, 336 views per hour, 100. This is 4 years ago, 4 years ago, 2 years ago, 2 years ago, 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 4 years ago. These are thousands of views per hour for content that was posted once, years ago. All right, guys. So my personal opinion is that I would stay far away from trending until you've accomplished success with an evergreen channel. There's far too much pressure when building a trending channel as a beginner. It's too advanced. Don't swim with the sharks yet. This is just my personal opinion. You guys can do whatever the heck you want. I'm only here to guide you guys as much as possible, to give you my own personal opinion from years of doing YouTube and making a shit ton of money. I can with 100% certainty tell you, if you do trending, it's not going to be a fun experience. So just my personal opinion. Hope you guys enjoyed the knowledge bomb that I dropped on you guys, just a short video here. If you want to work with me one-on-one, just join my school community. It's free. We drop a lot of knowledge. I have a free course, 2 calls a week, everything you guys need. If you ever need me, just send me a message. I'll see you guys on the next video.